Starting to the top right of the map, we have the Terran player for Team TSL, able to equalize the score here at the GSTL. It is...
GSTL, Polte!
Holt. He is otherwise known as Optimus.
Starting to the top right is his opponent. One of 3 strong Zerg players in the lineup for Team MVP. It is...
MVP, Monster!
He was the player who defeated MC ages ago. Made sure that MC dropped down to Code B. Now we have him again up against Holt, against the strong Terran player, on a map that favors Zerg a little bit.
Yeah. Well, based on the positioning of this depot, we are going to have either a... well, actually, we're just going to have a CC first with... Usually you never make the depot there unless you go CC first on the low ground, because this means that you're not going to have a wall. So if you make the depot at your ramp, it's not really useful. You lose a lot of mine time that way. And if you make the depot next to your mineral line, you get a lot of extra mills, so you get your CC first faster. And since you're not going to wall with it, it doesn't really matter. So there's no reason whatsoever to put the depot next to your ramp if you're going for a CC first on the low ground. That's exactly why we're going to see this here from Holt.
Great scouting for his opponent, though. We have now Monster with a perfect scout. He sends not only the Overlord, but also a drone out and sees immediately what's going on here. So he can react. He can also pressure the SCV and make sure that this command center is delayed a bit.
Yeah, and in fact, the SCV is going to die if he doesn't move it.
That was a close one. Doesn't repair it.
He needs to repair it, actually. He will. He must.
At least a tiny little bit.
Yep, and he's done it, and that's why Monster sneaks away with the drone. Will Polt actually repair it to keep his minerals at an even number? No, he does not. That's always the question you gotta ask, because sometimes you look up the minerals and you're like, what happened? How does he have 49 minerals instead of 50? When I repair that SCV that gets attacked by the drone, I try to keep it even. I'm like, well, how much do I repair it? Because it could be later important for mutas, for example. I'm like, but I don't know exactly how much I should repair it. I actually make the choice based on when it ends on the 5 or the 0, man. That's how you know how much you repair it.
That's how the wolf rolls.
That's how I do it. I like to keep round numbers. I don't like that 284 minerals, not so much. I never cancel tech labs.
Okay.
And if I do, I then repair something that requires gas and minerals to fix that.
That's probably why you lose so many games. You don't really care about the game, you only care about the mineral count.
I only care about the mineral count, man. That's all I care about. Sometimes I don't like to build depots because I'm like, well, I think I want to save money and save up for something later. Maybe I build a Ferrari. I'm not so sure about the depot.
The game, has exactly 1,000 minerals on the tab and is like, nailed it.
Yeah, as soon as I hit 1,000, I pull my workers across the map. Sometimes I try to hit 1, 3, 3, 7. It's pretty tough. You gotta do a lot of cancels and repair just right, and then move across the map with your SCVs and spell something.
Are you sure that we're playing the same game?
Yeah.
Well, right now we have for Polt still no gas. Yeah?
Yeah, he's going to go for a fast third command center.
Exactly. We have the third command center for Polt, which also, of course, means that attacks, early game attacks against Polt would be really effective now. But we have for the MVP player no gas either. He didn't add any extractors just yet. He's going into additional queens. He already has 2, is adding queen number 3 and queen number 4, just droning up. Which means that right now he will spread his creep a little bit faster. He will try to rely on the queens to defend against Hellions and against Marines. Very late gas, therefore also very late speed for him.
Yeah. A little bit of extra scouting from Polt, making sure there's no hidden bases on the map with one of his SCVs. Did not actually succeed in seeing all the bases, but he has checked the main to the bottom left just to make sure. And now we see the third base going down for Monster, who's spreading his creep pretty aggressively in that direction, which is important for this map because there are multiple angles of entry to that third base. Because Polt is going for a fast third command center, though, there's not going to really be a problem with Hellions, of course, and Polt is cutting the Hellions out entirely here.
Which is actually pretty cool, because if he now really uses only the Marines to force back the creep, or even waits for the first 2 medivacs before he moves out, that's still all that he needs to do. Against the Queens, he's probably not gonna fight here, but I really like that he's skipping the Hellions, because these days Hellions usually don't do that much, unless you really commit to the Hellion aggression and try to move in.
You know, this Queen Force is really awesome, because he saw the Link saw the Marines moving out, so he can actually just fight this with Queens. A few months ago, this would not have been possible, but nowadays, the Queens can actually just fight like that.
Yeah, there are too many queens. The Marines just don't stand a chance, and Pole immediately moves back here. But he looks at a really decent economy with 36 harvesters and 3 bases. Ooh, he's actually using the command center at the 3rd base location immediately.
Yeah, he's not wasting any time with that. He's also getting those eBays, so he's going to be a little bit vulnerable here. If Monster gets wind of this, if he can figure out what's going on, he could definitely put some heavy pressure on that 3rd base, force a lift.
But it doesn't really look like Monster is going to go for any kind of aggression here. And this will give Pole a great position. The tag for Monster now started, and Monster, if you just look at his statistics, he's been struggling a little bit against Terran in the last few weeks. He was able to win against Hack, which was of course really important, but then he lost in the at the preliminaries. He lost against Sin, was not able to make it into Code A. He also has a loss against Jagji in the last GSL Code A season, so right now he's in Code B. Still a very strong Zerg player though, but Pole is a pretty tough opponent, and he's moving in, taking down the Queen, and now putting pressure on the drones.
They're not together here, so he's going to lose a lot of drones. A good pull on the drones trying to save them, and in fact 2 of them will get away, at least for now. He wants to keep these Marines in a tightly packed, dense position here. The back speed was not done. He's actually just going to fight this. There's a lot of transfuse energy though, so he won't be able to kill those queens. I think going for drones would have been a better choice here.
Yeah, if he kills a few drones, and this is exactly what he does, Wolf. He starts to focus them manually. A very good job here by Pole. Even though he loses those Marines, he took down 12 harvesters.
Yeah.
And the Queen.
Good trade.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, not too shabby at all. He also forced a lot of Lings to come out, so now he is nearly taking a supply lead in Harvesters, but with the extra round of drones that we saw, it's now 58 drones to 54 SCVs, and the Spire comes out.
Yeah, talking about the Spire, look at the production tab what we have for Pole, 5 additional barracks. He is known to be a player who really puts on a lot of aggression with his Marines and who just goes for production wave after wave.
That's the neutral depot that he's killing, so don't fret.
Yeah, that's not Pole's depot.
Pole might really repair it though, because, you know, that could help him out later.
And talking about this 3rd base again that you mentioned earlier, and now with MVP just trying to apply some pressure and Pole not having enough Marines ready to defend it, he just lifts it and flies it to the right side of the map, where he puts it down. The one thing that Pole has to be careful about though is that we have a Spire now, and it really looks like Monster is going for this Mutaling Baneling composition in the mid game. Pole is building the first missile turrets, which are gonna help him a lot of course, but yeah, he has to be a little bit careful when those Mutalisks actually arrive, because they can just bounce between the bases.
Yeah. It's so cool that Pole decides to take his 3rd over there. Obviously it didn't work out just yet in this case because his units are not ready to defend it. Because the 3rd base he took is closer, but this base is further away from the Zerg, so it's harder for the Zerg to attack it. This is a great scan and clear up. He also is going to push the Overlord back, but he takes the high ground out of this location.
And Pole does exactly what we mentioned earlier. When the Medivacs are out, you can use this time that you have before your opponent has anti-air to force the creep back. But talking about the creep...
Yeah, the Overlord over there actually creeping up that command center so he can't land it back immediately.
Exactly.
Look at how many tumors we have here. Even if he scans, he's not going to be able to kill all of them. But this is exactly what you were talking about before. You know, the Medivacs pick up every single one of those Marines they get out. He can just continue this process until the Mutalisks get out. In fact, 10 of them are on the way right now. And this is going to grant him a lot of control over the map. He is going to be able to harass that 3rd base and the main bounce between the bases in general, similarly to how the glaive worms bounce between units.
I feel a little bit awkward for Monster. That's a lot of Mutalisks that he builds. Pole just has such a sick Marine production that he has 35. He's producing 8 at a time, +2/+2 is on its way. In the main base, we have a few isolated missile turrets. If Pole realizes what's going on, I feel he's going to build a few more of those.
Yeah.
This is going to be a bit scary for Monster, but now, of course, this Marine Force is going to die. They can't do anything. They just try to target down a few of the Mutalisks, but even if he lifts, the Mutalisks will just shut down the Medivacs immediately.
Pole didn't attack the 3rd base during this. He thought about it, but he decided not to. He's actually just going to run away as fast as possible, Forrest Gump style here, up to the top of the ramp where he can get that concave and hope to last a little bit longer against those Zerglings.
That's actually a pretty cool position for Pole. That was really smart.
He's taking a risk here. He thinks he might be able to get out, but in reality, it's not going to happen. He's targeting down the Mutas. He targets down 2, 3, 4. He is pulling Mutas out.
That was well worth it.
That was a great trade for Pole. Pole's like, well, I thought losing this Marines was a problem, but actually in the end, it ended up being a good thing for me.
That was the best trade he could hope for.
Yeah.
His problem is, of course, that we have now for Monster a pretty scary mid-game, and he needs to defend against this, which is not going to be easy without siege tanks. And he completely skips the tanks. He is only relying on Marine Marauder. which can work, but he has to be very careful because now Monster is going for 19 additional banelings, and Polt has to identify this. He spotted it now. He knows what's coming.
He's going in here and he's targeting these down before they can morph. There's a lot of Marauders in here. Marauder King coming through here, and the Marauders tank most of the baneling shots. Now the Marines are left here.
This was a little bit awkward by Monster. You never want to have so those banelings run into the Marauders, and this is actually really scary. There comes the force for Monster, and Monster with his mid-game composition, he has to do a lot of damage. If he doesn't, the late game is going to be a very tough problem for him.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out the best angle of attack here. He takes out the Marauders now that the Marines were pulled back. He also got those medevacs, and this is a good trade for him, but is it good enough? He needs to clean up the rest of this, and he will push the Marines back once again. Marines currently on course 2-2 upgrades. The Lings on the ground, however.
It looks like Monster just has too much. Polt is floating 800 minerals the entire time.
Yeah.
He could actually have more barracks here, but he just doesn't. He doesn't even repair. This could completely crush Polt.
No siege tanks. He's only relying on Marauders here.
He needs to take down these ground forces so that the Marines can finally deal with the Mutalisks.
Yeah, but it looks like he just won't be able to. His SCVs are falling. More Lings are rallying across the map. And Monster, you know, I didn't necessarily think he was the best pick, but he may have done it here. It's not over yet, but Polt is in a tough spot.
It's what you said earlier. Monster, I can see him take down Polt because he was prepared to take down a player in particular. You don't take a player like Monster and just throw it in the ring without having a plan for him. But for me, the concern is how is he going to do against the next player if he defeats Polt. But so far, he hasn't won the match just yet. It looks really good, but still, Polt is fighting.
Yes. And the Lings here actually taking a bad path out of there, taking a lot of extra hits, but the problem is the next wave of banelings are actually just going to roll through that wall like when I use my T-Money card to go into the subway. It's just pretty easy and actually quite convenient.
Yeah. The problem for him is that he doesn't have a follow-up, so he has to kill Polt with this army, or with this army composition.
Nice targeting on the medevacs.
He needs to split a little bit against the banelings. Nice split here by Polt now.
Yeah, but it's just he doesn't have enough. He's now dropped down to 72 supply, and these banelings are rolling through. They jump the subway stall, and they're going right into the mineral line. Every single SCV is gone. In fact, there it is. GG.
G. Monster takes the game. And now he is up against the next opponent. Polt is just trying to go for a Bioforce, but maybe not enough production here. If you do want to skip the siege tanks, you have a lot of income. That's what Polt had, but he was floating 800 minerals the entire time, even when he was producing from all his barracks. A few more barracks might have been the better choice here.
Yeah, it was like he wasn't sure if he could support them because he wasn't sure if he could mine from that third base very well, so maybe he decided not to make them. He just wasn't hitting his production as well as he could have. But Monster, really impressive crease spread. I have to say, that was insane what we saw from him. And his Mulist control was pretty good, except that one time with the Marines at the south. Overall, he kept his Mulist controlled well, and he knew exactly where to strike.
I feel this next game is going to be the real challenge for Monster. MVP definitely made sure that he prepared for Terran, that he prepared against Polt specifically. So taking this win was really well done. But now this is going to be important, because you always want to have a player that takes down more than only one opponent. You want to get farther ahead in this match. So how is he going to deal with this next opponent? He has no idea who comes out next.
He probably expects a ZVZ, as I do as well. Yeah. I don't think we're going to see Value come out here. I don't think we're going to see Center here.
Yeah, Center maybe later today if they really
Shine,
need a Terran player.
You know? Hyun or Shine right now is what I'm feeling.
They have 3 players left. Symbol has to play, in my opinion. Hyun has to play too. Shine, you can send out Shine. I could see them use Center later and just try to leave the option of having a Terran player. Yeah. And maybe send out Hyun next. I could see Hyun in a ZVZ. With how he practiced in the GSTL, that's of course one of the matchups where he's really strong at. On the other hand, you don't really want to spoil anything. He might be up against Sniper in the last round.
Who's it gonna be?
It's Shine.
Shine. A smart choice. I like this one.
Yeah, really good player. In Code A for, I think, 3 consecutive seasons now.
Yeah.
Struggling a little bit to get into Code S, but always a very solid player in Code A.
Monster giving a shake of his head, saying no, he's not worried about it.
Yeah. He's confident, yeah.
He is very confident, and that's important. When stakes are high, things can get very stressful, and this is the semifinals. There's no backup plan, there's no consolation match. It's all about what's here and now.
I feel this is one of the most important matches, not only for Monster, we talked about that already a bit, but we have a team score now with MVP being up to 1 against TSL. So if Shine loses now, then suddenly we have quite a significant lead for Team MVP, and this makes things very awkward for TSL. Then players like Shine, like Hyun and Symbol will really have to come through for their team. So there's a lot of pressure on Shine now.
Yep. But we are going to have a 5-minute break, of course, before this match starts. We'll see you guys then.